you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. As you walk on by, would you call my name? As you walk on by, would you call my name? When you walk away, I said la 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 la. No, 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 no. This may come as some surprise, but I miss you. I could see through all of your lies, and still I miss you. You taste her love, but it doesn't feel like mine. You taste her kiss, but her kisses are not mine. No, they're not mine. She takes, but surely she can't give what I'm feeling now. She takes, but surely she doesn't know how. Is it a crime? Is it a crime that I still want you, but I want you to want me too? My love is wider than Victoria Lake, and my love is taller than the Empire State. It divides and it jumps and it ripples like the deepest ocean. I can't give you more than that, but surely you want me back. Is it a crime? Is it a crime that I still want you, but I want you to want me too? My love is wider than Victoria Lake and tall as the Empire State. It dives, and it jumps, but I can't give you more than that. But surely you want me back. Is it a crime? Is it a crime that I still want you, but I want you to want me too?
They say that time passes quickly, but when you've been working for more than 10 years on something you believe in, that's a long time. At Repsol Foundation, we have been promoting talent and technology for more than a decade. For visionary people to turn their innovative ideas into real, viable, and win-win answers. And today we know that we have succeeded. With more than 70 startups created under acceleration, more than 850 prototypes designed, and nearly 230 patents developed, that have raised more than 175 million in public-private financing. Great numbers that make us believe in the time invested and the dedication of a team that has shown the world that all these years have been worth it. Because from the outset, we have believed in groundbreaking ideas and new ways of understanding energy that are already a reality, supporting startups that have revolutionized fields as diverse as biotechnology, decarbonization, the circular economy, and the digitalization of our industry. Today, after more than 10 years, the Entrepreneurs Fund has become a relevant and effective initiative for technological entrepreneurship in energy. Because 11 years is a long time, but in terms of the future, it is only the beginning. Entrepreneurs Fund. 11 years boosting the future of energy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those of you who are streaming from America. It is a pleasure to welcome you to this award ceremony to present the selected startups of the 11th edition of the Repsol Foundation Entrepreneurs Fund, an event which, as you know, is a point of reference in the entrepreneurial world. As your host, I will be accompanying you on screen throughout the event, introducing the different sections and speakers, and most importantly, the representatives of the selected startups, the true stars of today's event. As you know, for over a decade, the Repsol Foundation has been supporting the brilliant minds working to develop innovative solutions that contribute to a more sustainable energy transition in different areas such as natural solutions to reduce the carbon footprint, low-emission technologies, the circular economy, and the digitization of the energy industry. The Entrepreneurs Fund believes in their talent, their commitment, and their knowledge, and we are aware that in order to build a more sustainable world, we must shine a light on these ideas. Undoubtedly, these ideas arise from a process in which human capability and potential converge with the creative energy of the environment. It is there, in that spark of connection, where creative thinking appears. When ideas are connected in a way that has never been done before, something new emerges, or something already created is restructured. But in order to successfully complete the creative challenge and bring an idea to life, that creative thinking has to be validated against reality in order to determine and affirm its value, efficiency, and functionality. Therefore, the Repsol Foundation provides the means, knowledge, and experience to give them the support they need to become market realities as quickly as possible. The startups selected this year will receive financial support of up to 100,000 euros, training, advice from Repsol's expert mentors, and will have the opportunity to test their prototypes and develop pilots in Repsol's industrial facilities. I would like to thank all the startups from every corner of the world for their participation in this 11th edition, and I would especially like to thank this year's selected startups for their attendance at the Repsol Auditorium. I hope you enjoy the event. And now I would like to welcome Antonio Calzada, General Director of the Repsol Foundation.
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos, Secretario de Estado.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dear Secretary of State, dear President, I would like to welcome you to the 11th anniversary of the Entrepreneurs Fund at Repsol Foundation, where we are going to communicate the winning startups of this process, which has started with 400 startups that have participated into this project, and they came into the funnel. So I think we have around 200 people connected on the streaming in 20 countries, and we'll have to switch to English now.
Cambiamos aquí un poquito de tono. Así que good afternoon, everybody, and good morning.
Buenas
Good evening
tardes.
to those of you. We are at this moment connected overseas, all over the world, and we hope, on behalf of Repsol and the Repsol Foundation, we hope you are feeling well and in good health. Before I start, I would like to thank the Spanish Secretary of State of Digitalization and Artificial Intelligence, Carmen Artigas, for her presence here today with us, and also our President, Antonio Brufau. Many thanks also to all entrepreneurs involved in this process for their work, for their motivation and passion, and their interest in Repsol. Thanks to our guest speaker, Ion Padilla, researcher and entrepreneur, and many thanks also to the organization. Just a few words, just a few messages as opening remarks. As you all know, we are deeply involved in the energy transition, the global governance, regions, countries, the public and private sector, companies, academy and science, and all the citizens. More than ever, the society is conscious of this great challenge that will impact, is affecting and impact the life of the future of next generations. Governments are deploying targets, companies are adapting their strategies and resources, society is changing and demanding new ways of life as producers, as consumers, at home or at work. The population in the world is growing from 7,500 million to up 9,000 million approximately. Emerging economies are growing fast. All this growth needs energy. Digital workplaces, e-commerce, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. All of this means development and growth. And all of this growth needs new technology, innovation, and consequently more energy. Having said that and faced this great challenge, we believe that there are some critical thoughts and considerations we may need to do. And the first thought is that there is no energy transition without industrial and technological transition. And technological transition needs knowledge, needs science, needs innovation, and needs digital transformation. The different goals that have been fixed by the European Union, the 2030 Agenda, the objectives fit for 55, and an economy carbon neutral in 2050, needs more than ever a tremendous amount of realism and pragmatism. We used to say that means pragmatism in strategy, pragmatism in time frame, and pragmatism in terms of costs. To match all these targets, we need a clear strategy and a clear ambition. Ambition with execution capacity. If we cannot progress on execution, if we cannot progress on delivery, all strategy around means almost nothing. And to make possible this transition, the industry and the world needs technology, and technology deployment needs time. Because it is necessary to make big adjustments, different sources of energy, carbon capture technology, circular economy, hydrogen route, different habits of consumption, and finally, to accelerate and scale up the transition, we need sustainable and competitive costs. Today, most of the future technologies we know are not yet competitive in costs. Having said that, I believe that we need to give maximum priority to science, technology, and innovation. Let the technology and innovation work, and the world will find the right balance between the different options. In Repsol Company, we continue to be deeply committed with the energy transition. Our strategy, our capabilities, our resources and investments are fully aligned with this objective to be net zero in 2050, and we have a very clear roadmap to meet these targets. To reach this ambitious goal, we are putting our efforts, focus, and ambition on existing sustainable technologies that are already efficient, competitive, and scalable, jointly together with new technologies that are still in progress. And that means hard work improving all our industrial processes, our products, and our services. That means energy efficiency in all our industrial processes. That means creating a new generation of biofuels, renewable energy, increasing carbon capture, apply innovation and digital, and work hard in green hydrogen. Because we believe in technology and because we believe in industry, because we have a trust on innovation, we want to support all these entrepreneurs like those we have here with us today. The Entrepreneurs Fund of Repsol Foundation was created 11 years ago with a clear goal in mind. Contribute to society by boosting innovation in energy, by supporting entrepreneurs and their business model and help them to scale up. Over the years, we helped many of them in the execution of many successful pilots and demonstration trials. Many of them, as you probably remember, are today successful companies. After 11 years of positive success and great experience, the Entrepreneurs Fund maintains its commitment and purpose to support innovative talent in the field of energy and energy transition, focusing on search field areas such as carbon capture, usage and storage, low carbon activities, energy efficiency in industrial processes, digital, circular economy, renewable energy, and natural climate solutions like reforestation. These are some of our major achievements and contributions since 2011. 70 startups, as we have said before, we have seen before in the video. 70 startups have been accelerated, including those we are presenting here today. All these accelerated startups together have raised more than 175 million euros between public and private financing. More than 850 pilots have been carried out, and more than 200 patents have been registered, which is a clear signal of innovation. Just before I finish my presentation, I would like to express again our warmest congratulations to those of you who are starting your acceleration period with Repsol Foundation today. Take for sure that your personal energy and motivation are a real example, a driving force for all of us. I'd like to thank the work done by the volunteers who have been participating in different stages of the selection process and the mentors of Repsol Foundation for their willingness and availability to help the entrepreneurs. Repsol Foundation thanks you very much for your contribution and is counting on you to continue promoting and improving our accelerating program. Many thanks to the members of the jury and her president, Maria Teresa Ballester, who selected this outstanding group of startups in this 11th edition of our program. And now, I will let you, with the Spanish Secretary of State of the Digitalization and Artificial Intelligence, Carme Artigas, to whom I would like to express our gratitude for joining us here today in our commitment and effort to boost innovation and technology in the energy sector. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning and evening for those abroad. Thank you very much for your words, and thank you very much to Fundación Repsol Foundation for inviting me to participate today in this presentation of the winning projects in this new 11th edition of the Entrepreneurs Fund. This is a great initiative. I congratulate you, Antonio, for this initiative. It's not easy to make an event successful 11 years in a row, all over all the crises we have suffered, and your commitment towards entrepreneurship is absolutely great, and I want to celebrate this. And it's a great initiative in order to continue strengthening also the Spanish startup ecosystem and connect it with foreign companies and creating this international network that you're already building. This 11th edition with a renewing and exciting experience and spirit, betting one more year on innovative entrepreneurship as the best way to face the great technology challenges of the energy transition. I would like, first of all, to congratulate all the startups that have been admitted in this program and that will be accelerated by this Entrepreneurs Fund. I think this is a very exciting challenge to have the opportunity to carry out your pilot test and move up to this desired commercialization stage when you are an entrepreneur. I'm coming from experience because I'm talking from experience. I've been an entrepreneur. I know how hard it is to come to that point when you go beyond that minimum viable product and then you have really a commercial product to start selling. So that is a very exciting challenge that I'm convinced you will achieve in the view of the excellent projects that have been submitted to this goal. What I want to share with you is our vision on how Spain is changing the game. We are changing the game because we are in a moment of decisive change, and we are approaching a very ambitious national agenda based in two transformative pillars. One is the digital transformation that accounts for 30% of the total European recovery funds, and the other is the green transition that accounts for 40% of the European technology funds. And those pillars are two leverages of the transformation of the production and the economy model we want to achieve in our nation, but are two pillars that complement each other, that are synergistic. Of course, you cannot approach the green transition without technology, and at the same time, sustainability is an intrinsic value for digitalization. But sometimes we are only focusing on how technology is helping the green transition, and we're putting less emphasis if technology is also sustainable. And it's something we are now introducing in the political agenda through our national plan for green algorithms. We want to ensure that also technology is green by design and start measuring the impact in the environment of the development of technology, as it's going to be an important part of our economy. Currently, it's already 22% of our GDP, and the idea is that our aim is to achieve, at the end of 2025, a 40% of contribution to the digital economy to the GDP. We have, as a country, a leading position on the support of the necessary model towards sustainable and green technology. We have a fundamental commitment on renewable energies, the use of data to improve decision-making, circular economy, artificial intelligence, as I mentioned, development with ecological impact and energy efficiency. We are a leading country on renewables and in climate technology solutions, and we are playing a key role in the transition to a net zero economy. So the green and digital Spain is part of the spirit of the economical and social recovery that we are facing. For those success, we need three things. We need talent, we need entrepreneurship, and we need investment. And we are really committed to become the best country and the most attractive country for entrepreneurs, for talent, and for investment. And this is why we're putting in place several reforms and several initiatives. The first of all, our startup law. We are changing the game for entrepreneurs with a new startup law that is going to become very attractive for entrepreneurs all over the world, with a digital nomads visa, with incentives, tax incentives for entrepreneurs and for investors. That is something that is already in our parliamentary process, and we expect to have it approved before the end of the year. And through that, we want to attract talent, because we want to be a talent hub, because talent attracts talent. And in order to attract talent, you must be a country with a high level of living, as we are, but also with innovative projects and challenging projects, and with attractive data in order to drive those projects. And this is why we are having this tax-free regime for entrepreneurs, but also for business angels. And all these initiatives are around data sharing between industries, and also open innovation programs from the administration to open up our data for innovative entrepreneurs. So we need talent, we need entrepreneurs, and we need investors. And the challenge we have in Spain is not on the startup side. because we achieved a record figure last year of 11,000 startups launched in Spain that were able to attract 4 billion investment. But we have a challenge with the scale-up phase. What happens in Spain is that we have successful startups. When they need the Series B financing or forward, they don't find investment in Spain. And it is in that moment of truth when those companies are sold cheap and abroad. And we don't want that. We are creating the basis for innovation. We are funding with public money all our universities. We are funding with public money our 5G networks. We're having the best quality of life with important public services on health and education. And then, in the moment of truth, those startups or those companies, those initiatives that have come from universities, then disappear, and they don't bring value to their country, and don't create opportunities for more entrepreneurs or for high-quality jobs. And this was something that we were determined to solve. And the way to solve this problem is that any good project in Spain finds in our country all the necessary investment to become a unicorn. And this is why we have built the Next Tech Fund. Next Tech Fund is a fund of funds of 4 billion euros. So the idea is that we match one-on-one a private investor. So that means if there is a private fund with 100 million, we put additional 100 million. If you have 50 million, we put 50 million. If you have 500 million, we put additional 500 million. So the idea that any of you that is having a great idea and wants to establish a company in Spain finds in our country all the necessary money for all the big size investment to grow and scale up in our country, in Europe, and build unicorns from Spain. I want to challenge also Repsol on that, because this fund of funds is not only focused on venture capital funds, it's also focused for corporate ventures. And now that we are in Spain, and 90% of the IBEX 35 big companies like Repsol already have these great programs on open innovation, and Repsol have been leading and supporting this entrepreneurship fund, I encourage you also to go an extra mile. And you build corporate funds alone or with other big companies. Because corporate venture is the corporate investors are the real smart money. And I know because I was the CEO of a venture capital fund, which is a corporate fund, so I'm being not objective on this side. Because apart from money, you are providing them with support, with a commercialization network, with know-how, with PR, with IPs, and that's really the value that a small company needs. So I really encourage what we call building an ecosystem. Now we have realized we cannot do everything alone. We are competing global for talent, for innovation. We cannot do anything alone. Even not big companies can do it alone. We need to connect the dots, so create the real ecosystems, connecting big companies to small companies, private and public sector, academia, and entrepreneurs. So I think that is going to be really a game changer, probably not in 24 hours, but probably in 3 years' time. And this is why we consider that it's important that you are aware of this option, of this opportunity, and you decide to stay in Spain also growing your businesses. This fund, however, is only focused on deep tech. We don't want mature business models. That is where already the money goes. We want really encourage the venture capitals and the corporate ventures to take risks, going to bigger rounds, and to take risk investing in real game-changing technologies like the ones you are supporting in your projects. Last but not least, you are the most valuable resource. We can have the best infrastructure in the world, that if we don't build infrastructure for talent or the infrastructure for entrepreneurship, no digital transition will take place. And we also have a commitment with the next generations. And I always say that we are a transition generation between two revolutions, an industrial revolution that is providing us a model that is no longer working, and a new model that is not yet defined. And while you are in the middle of two industrial revolutions, we have a risk that the benefits and the cost of this transition is not equally, I would say, distributed along social classes and along all the society. This is why we say that, first of all, entrepreneurship is a social equalizer. I firmly believe that entrepreneurship is a social equalizer. So we need to allow that anybody with a good idea finds the funding necessary to make that idea a reality. And the second is that we believe in technological progress, but not at any price. Not at the cost of broadening the divides that already exist in our society, digital divides, gender divides, socio-economical divides, territorial divides. Also, age divides. We cannot exclude the senior population out of the technology revolution, but even less at the cost or the price of losing in this process rights and guarantees that we have taken centuries to achieve as a mature democratic society. And this is why we have built the national chapter of digital rights in Spain, and we are promoting that initiative internationally, and we hope we can be able to present it also to the next Assembly of the United Nations in September. That we are encouraging also, leading from Spain, this talk, this reflection about how preserving our rights in the offline world, also in the online world. And that's important that we bear it in mind, because there is no technological progress if it doesn't lead us to a better society. So thank you very much for supporting entrepreneurs, for believing them as the future of the green and digital Spain that we are building. Thank you very much.
Again. Now the moment you were all waiting for has arrived. We're going to meet the 5 selected startups of this 11th edition of the Repsol Foundation Entrepreneurs Fund. To this end, I would like to introduce Javier Torres, Director of Entrepreneurship at the Repsol Foundation, who will be moderating this roundtable discussion in which the selected startups will share their projects.
Thank you very much. I would like to start. Thank you, Secretary of State, for your inspiring words. It's my pleasure to welcome to our friends of our winning startups of this 11th call, whom I would like to call to the stage now. Please welcome Chase Mason from Advanced Ionics. Pedro Díaz from Geforest. Pim Broekeman from Jungle AI. Natalia Staniak from Naspec Oil. And Miguel Frasquet from Solatom. It's okay. I'm sure we are curious to know more about this year winning startups. I would like to start with Chet at Advanced Ionics, coming from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome, Chad.
Thanks.
Please tell us about the work you are doing at your startup.
All right, can you hear me okay? Yeah, so we're Advanced Ionics, basically a company developing green hydrogen without the green premium. And we're based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So thank you for putting up with my Midwestern accent. So I think most of you know about the issues with cost for green hydrogen. And we urgently need to reduce the cost of hydrogen specifically for heavy industries, such as Repsol. So having grown up on a family farm, I saw how important hydrogen was to things like ammonia, petrochemicals, other chemicals, and even the future of steel. So that's why Advanced Ionics was launched, was to develop a product specifically targeted for heavy industry. And so we've developed a new technology that runs at intermediate temperatures using steam from industrial processes. So it's a very unique thing that's does not exist right now in the marketplace. And then basically we'll be scaling up this technology over the course of the next few years. So with partners like Repsol, which we're very excited about. We have good investors. Clean Energy Ventures out of Boston was our primary backer in our seed round. And we'll be raising a Series A later this year. So happy to answer more questions as needed.
Thank you, Chad. We are eager to see how your modular electrolyzers can reduce the production cost of the green hydrogen.
Thanks.
Okay, let's continue with Pedro at Gefores, who is coming from Albacete, Spain. Welcome, Pedro. Please share with us the activity of your startup.
Okay, thank you. We are Gefores, and we want to contribute to improving forest management through digitalization. We generate a digital twin of reality with LiDAR technology, and that allows us measure all the parameters necessary for have a nice forest management. Like you can measure diameter, heights, canopy cover, number of trees, and you can generate a topographic model of the terrain. And with this technology, we can reduce costs and increasing the knowledge for have a good forest management. And we started this adventure 1 year ago. We have been working in many cities of Spain, and we have been self-financing in this year, but in the current market we know it's very competitive, and we want to external finance. The team are made by Luis La Peña and me. We studied forest environment engineer at the University of Castilla-La Mancha, and we're very happy to be here.
Thank you, Pedro. I will take a special pleasure to see how your company advances reforestation projects in Spain, because as you know, Repsol Foundation is supporting reforestation through Motor Verde project. It's now time to move on Jim, Pin, coming from the Netherlands, coming from Amsterdam, Jungle AI. Good afternoon, Pin. The stage is all yours to tell us about your startup.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so my name is Pim. I'm from the Netherlands. It actually says Frans Willem on the screen, but it's my birth name. I don't use it anymore. So I'm here to represent Jungle and to tell something about what we do. So we apply machine learning to machines in order to learn their normal behavior and to optimize their performance. And we're doing this for solar farms, we're doing this for wind farms, and also for heavy industry. And I want to take the wind farm as an example to tell you a little bit about how this works, what we do. So we all know wind farms, and of course it's a beautiful invention. It's a beautiful technology. And we've already been using this technology for years to give us our daily needs, from the days of Don Quixote all the way until now, when we're charging our phones, powering our houses, and even nowadays we're driving our cars with electricity. But what is the case with wind turbines is that we did produce pretty complicated machines to generate all this electricity for us. It used to be an easy turbine, but right now there's a lot of very complicated machines and components inside a wind turbine with hundreds of sensors. And the question is a bit, if you're looking at a wind turbine, how do we actually know if this turbine is producing optimally? And how do we know if any of the components that are in this turbine, how do we know if it's healthy, or how do we know if some of the components may be failing? And we see that our machines are talking to us in data streams coming out of hundreds and thousands of sensors. But the question is a bit, what do we do with all this information? It's not just one turbine, it's whole wind farms full of turbines. So we're talking about a whole lot of information. And the bad news about our brain is that our human brains do not have the capability to keep up with all of this information. We don't know what's going on. So that is why Jungle was founded, and that's why we started developing technology to help and to see what we can do, and to help companies like Repsol that are owning assets with lots of sensors, so with lots of information, to find a way to that jungle of data. So that's also where the name of the company comes from. So how do we do that? What do we do is we apply artificial intelligence to a wind farm or a solar farm in order to learn the normal behavior of that farm. So normal behavior, what does it mean? So it means that for each and every component in a wind farm in this example, for each component, down to the sensor level, under all operational conditions, we can predict what the normal behavior of that component should be. So we predict what all of the sensors should be saying under those conditions. And that's what we use the machine learning for. And then we compare these normality predictions, as we call them, we compare it with the real-time behavior. So you can see in real time if any of your turbines is underperforming, and you can also see in real time if any of the components that is inside your turbine is wearing down. So you can see weeks or months in advance if something is going to break. So this underperformance and this downtime together, if you can avoid it, then it helps you to produce around 2% more energy with that wind farm. The good thing there is 2% more energy, right? So if we would do it with all the wind farms in Spain, we would be producing 1.2 megawatt hours or 1.2 gigawatt hours of additional renewable energy without installing any single new turbine. So we're just using the sensor data from the turbines that are already there. So it's software. All that impact based on digitalization and software alone. So we're already doing this in wind and in solar and in steel as well. And in the proof of concept that we are planning to do with Repsol, our idea is to optimize one or multiple of the wind farms that Repsol has, maybe some of the other assets. And we also want to push another feature that is allowing us not just to see if something is behaving abnormal, but we're going to connect it to a failure library. So we're storing all these failures. And then when you see something abnormal, connecting it to the library, you can also see what it is and what you need to do about it when, in order to avoid your machines from breaking. I don't know how I'm for time, but we're super excited to be part of the Entrepreneurs Fund. Thank you very much. If I listen to the investment climate here in Spain, I think it's super exciting to be here, and thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Pim. Digital monitoring and control of plant operations is key to increase energy efficiency, and we will follow the implementation of your software in the field. Natalia, coming from York, UK, from Nospec Oil. Welcome on board, Natalia, and we are eager to hear about your company. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening to people abroad. It's a pleasure to be here. Nospec Oil is a UK-based company, as Javier said. We are nearly startup 3.5 years, operating in and developing biodegradable, biorenewable base oil for a lubricant and oleochemical. And I can see relation to the wind farm because we can improve future the wind turbine because we're producing like efficient oils. Our technology is around, actually I'm plant breeder by background, so nothing to do with lubricant industry. So we're taking a different approach. We're kind of working from the gene technology, developing totally different vegetable oils, much more stable, focusing on the biosynthetic pathway. We develop 4 times better rapeseed oil, which then can be incorporated in producing polymerized vegetable oils, so very viscous. And that's what we're targeting, because the supply of mineral base oils is very vulnerable because of the strict regulation. Limits on the carbon, sulfur, that's kind of impacting customers who are looking for alternatives. And also recent events like a war in Ukraine and also a different regulation impacting that supply chain. So with our technology, we're not only producing different vegetable oils, which we then processing. We have a very novel sonochemical process, which is capable to reduce about 90% energy in production of this polymerized oils. And also our know-how is around formulation. So we kind of cover all production of the base oils from upstream, downstream processes. And our markets are basically around the lubricants. That's why it's relevant to Repsol, around lubricant companies looking to improve and make much greener products in metalworking, in greases, especially in marine environment, where actually there is a much higher contamination from lubricants based on toxic mineral oil. So that's where it's kind of we're targeting those markets, but also our varieties can be used for the in the food industry and to kind of extend the shelf life of the vegetable oil used for frying. So we've got like a very broad kind of spectrum of industry which we can target. With our first products already tested with global companies recognized around the world, but the product which we want to test with Repsol will be fully bio-based and biodegradable. So we're aiming to scale up scale up the production through the pilot test. Last year in October, we already managed to get the first round of finance, so angel investment from a company called SFC Capital in London. And now this is a great pleasure to be aware that Repsol Accelerator, which will help us to accelerate and take our product to the next stage and do a test with Repsol around the application and secure first customers. And this will lead to finding an equity investment of 1.5 million, which then will be used for building pilot plant. And actually I'm very excited about the environment here for entrepreneurs, because I'm from the part in the UK where we're a bit forgotten for investment. so that's very, very good news. And our team is, like I said, I'm plant breeder, but I'm basically taking the company to the next level. Professor Ian Backcroft, who you've seen probably on the picture on the right, on the left, I think, sorry. He's a genetist, so he's a brain behind the different traits in vegetable oils. And Boris Mund is a tribologist with 25 years experience in formulating base oils. And we also supported by Andrew, who is not on the picture, and he's mentor of our company. So we're very excited to be here, and thank you for selecting our company.
Thank you, Natalia. Bio-based lubricants could advance the sustainability of lubricants in many industries, and we look forward to seeing your innovations in action. Finally, Miguel. Miguel is here from Valencia to tell about Solatom. Miguel, please give us an overview of your startup.
Thank you. So, well, good afternoon, evening, and morning to everyone. Again, my name is Miguel Fresquet. We are Solatom. What we're trying to do is decarbonize the industrial sector with the concept that we developed, which is like high temperature solar boiler. And the thing is that in industry, heat is the majority of the energy consumption, But however, like most of the sustainable solutions that you can find out there are mainly based or mainly focused in electricity, so the PV, for example. For heat, industry still burns fossil fuels in conventional boilers. And the thing is, this happens because for producing high temperature, it's very difficult. It's actually extremely difficult to do it with sustainable solutions. So what we do and what Solatom is just a solar system that allows the factories to generate the same steam, like same pressure, same temperature, with zero emissions because it's a solar system and with a fixed cost. So at the end, we connect our system, our solar boiler in parallel with the conventional boiler. So each kilowatt hour of solar steam that we produce is a kilowatt hour of savings for the factory. So our boilers are using a Fresnel optics to reach this high temperature. And we designed them using a modular approach that we actually patented in Spain, US, and Mexico. And the thing is that each module is transported fully pre-assembled to the client place. So at the end, once in place, we connect all the modules like you connect Lego bricks when you were kids. And our customers are, of course, like any factory with thermal processes, which at the end represents almost all the manufacturing sector. Because if you think about it, I mean, our food is pasteurized, our food is boiled, is cooked, is dry, our clothes are washed, are ironed. So every chemical product that we use, shampoo, for example, go through dozens of thermal processes. So every company with a boiler can be actually decarbonized using our solution. And with that in mind, we started in 2016, and since then we have 10 pilots in operation, validating the technology, and we plan to go even further. Actually, what we want to do is just to test at commercial scale a concept that we developed together with Enagas, which is a solar gas hybrid boiler. So it's a system in which we can actually connect our modules to conventional boilers to allow them to use solar energy as a source of energy. And the company just was founded by 4 engineers coming from technical and financial backgrounds from solar and aeronautical companies, actually. And we were invested by big energy companies like BP, like Enagas again. And together we actually started assembling these modules manually in a garage. And today we have a larger production, I mean, not super large, but larger. And by the way, I mean, I know it's a stereotype, but because you always say that, okay, all the startups start in a garage. In our case, it was actually true, because our module is the size of a shipping container. So unfortunately, you cannot do these kind of things in an office building. So we really started in a garage in Valencia. And yeah, 5 years ago, we applied to Fundación Emprendedores. And at that time, we only have an idea and a couple of very ugly PowerPoint presentations. And we didn't make it, actually. So yeah, it's super sad, I know. But yeah, today is the day, so I'm super happy. And in fact, I'm extra happy that it happens in a moment in which industry really needs a solution like ours to really go through these climatic and energy challenges. So yeah, the only thing left to say is, so thank you very much, Repsol, for this fantastic opportunity. I'm really looking forward for starting the program. Thank you.
Great, Miguel. All industries, as you have mentioned, are looking for avenues to increase energy efficiency and hence reduce their carbon footprint. Your startup is already contributing towards this goal, so let's see if we can scale it up. Thank you for all of these fantastic proposals. As many as you know, each startup will have a year to work with us on the accelerator program in a project previously agreed with you. We look forward to working together to a sustainable future.
Congratulations to all of them. Now I would like to welcome a very special speaker, Jon Padilla. Jon holds a degree in engineering and computer science, AI and software development from Mondragón Universitatea and Northampton University. In 2012, he was selected to work at CERN in Geneva, where he collaborated on several projects related to the radio protection of LHC, and has also worked for the Media Lab Group, helping to teach people about the origins of the universe through various multimedia interfaces. He later served as a strategic consultant at Hewlett-Packard's Innovation Centers, where he assisted senior management decision-makers in organizations such as Swiss, the United Nations, Lufthansa, Louis Vuitton, and many others to identify new opportunities and improve their performance through cutting-edge technologies. In 2016, Jon co-founded WeGo in Lausanne, Switzerland, a clean tech startup transforming the world of spatial data, helping to optimize trade and clean energy production worldwide. Jon has come here today to share his experiences and learning from his impressive career with all of us. Welcome, Jon.
Well, that was pretty cool, I have to say. I was going to introduce myself, but I don't think it's necessary anymore. Right, so my name is Jon. I come from the Basque Country, and I'm really glad to be here. So here in Repsol to share a little bit of my entrepreneurship journey and what happened in all these, these 6 years, right, since I founded WeGo. Right, so I don't think this slide is anymore necessary, but just in case I wanted to share with you, I come from the Basque Country. I actually did software engineering in Mondragón Universitatea. And then basically I moved to Switzerland, right? That's where I worked at CERN and in HP, as our lovely AI lady said. But I think the main point here that I wanted to make is that I didn't have any energy background or any entrepreneurship background, right? So what was happening is that when I was working in HP, I guess many of you can share this with me. I was a little bit trapped in this sort of cubicle. Literally, I was in a cubicle. So the problem that I faced is that I was coming with lots of really innovative ideas. I wanted to do things differently, but obviously when you're in a corporate world, there are some boundaries that are involving you. You need to sort of respect, right? So then I said, okay, so why don't I try to do it myself? So I found a friend that was ready to take the leap. So that's when I founded WeGo. But basically in the beginning, we were looking for a venture to fund. It was kind of like something that could get us moving, right? So we started working in a travel sort of venture. We were actually taking trips of people to the mountains. So it was actually quite fun. So we would take like 15 people, we'll take them to the mountains. They will do a little bit of a journey hiking in the Swiss Alps, which was really nice. And that get us going. We were making a little bit of revenue to fund, our first steps into this venture. What happened is that actually one of these groups found something like this. So this is pretty common in Switzerland when you are sort of in May, June. Sometimes you have like a mid sort of avalanche, or there are some patches of snow that you can find in your way that are really slippery, right? So if you don't have like the right material, you can sort of fall, so it's not really good. So one of our trips actually found one of these locations, and the trip had to be canceled. It was a complete nightmare, right? So we thought, wow, this is really bad. There are no tools to monitor these kind of snow patches. So we started looking for tools to monitor these sort of events. What happened is that we didn't find anything that was remotely okay to actually detect these sort of patches of snow that were blocking roads. So we decided to build it ourselves, right? So we took our know-how, we're coming from software engineering, we took it to the European Space Agency and we say, hey, why don't we build snow monitoring solution using satellite data for civil protection and for tourism in the mountains? And they say, well, this looks really, really cool. So this is what we did. So you can see here, actually, what you see there is a satellite image. So it's kind of like a camera that you take from space. And to the right, you see a complete digitalized version of that same image, right? So this way we can monitor how snow changes and when we see avalanches and patches that are blocking roads and so on and so forth. So we started selling these to ski station, to touristic destinations, to ski platform, outdoor platforms, and so on and so forth. But we found another problem, which is that actually here what we're providing was sort of like a vitamin, right? It's good to know where there is snow or not, but people were not really ready to pay for such information, or at least not enough to support the kind of technology that was behind all this. So what happened is that hydropower came to the rescue, right? So we started talking to hydropower companies. Actually, they came to us because our product was already around in Central Europe. And they said, well, this would be really interesting for us. And I was like, why? Right? Why snow for hydropower? Well, it turns out that 75% of snowmelt contribution goes to our lakes in many countries, right? It might be that in other countries it's a little bit less. Now this got us thinking, like, okay, so what this means is if we're able to monitor snow and the way it melts, we're able to know when we'll have available water in our lakes, actually before we have it in the lakes. Interesting. And what happened is that these hydropower companies were suffering a lot from the lack of forecasting capabilities on when that water was melting and arriving into our lakes. So much. So this was really our product market fit, right? So it turns out that they're suffering from a 30% error in this forecasting to understand how snow melts, converts into water, and arrives into our lakes, right? So this is a $15 billion opportunity worldwide. So we started working in our solution, right? We developed further functionalities. We were not only monitoring the mass of snow in the mountains, we were monitoring the depthness of the snow, the humidity of the snow, the humidity of the soil, and the volume of the lake. So we're pretty much monitoring the whole area except the power plant, the hydropower plant, right? So we launched two proof of concepts. One of them was in the Pyrenees, you see on the left. One of them was in Switzerland. So left was with Endesa here in Spain, and in Switzerland with Alpic. And we started demonstrating actually that by monitoring better snow, knowing when this snow was melting, understanding how filled the aquifers were, we were going to optimize the production of energy on one end, and we're going to make a better use of water on the other. So it was a really win-win scenario. So here you can see an example of our dashboard. If you're able to see, I'm not sure if you can, but in the middle, in the white area, there is a really small place. That's the lake. That's the hydropower dam. But we're monitoring the whole catchment area, the whole surrounding area where the snow is when our water is going to do the precipitation, so that we're able to monitor the second lake, right? The battery that is formed in snow. And this sort of gives birth to the concept of digital twins, in this case, for natural resources. We're monitoring lakes. So now companies that are working with us are not able only to monitor the lake and know how much water they have in their lake. They're able to monitor how much snow they have in their mountains and how much water they have in the future, how much energy they're going to be able to produce in the future. So this means that they can forecast energy output, they can reduce market volatility, and they can increase energy efficiency. So it's a really win-win scenario. So you can see here our little dashboard. This is a power plant in Switzerland, and you can see as well the correlation between the snow accumulation and the water flow. Right, so we started in hydropower in 2020. We started scaling up the solution in 2021, and now we're doing the same in offshore wind. Now you may think, okay, so how do we do this in offshore wind? Right, so the technology is completely, we can transfer it absolutely as we did it with hydropower, right? But instead of monitoring snow, what we're doing over ocean surface, exclusively using satellite data, we're able to monitor wind speed, wind direction, and wave height by monitoring the microwaves that we have in the surface of the ocean. Thus, achieving the same we were doing in hydropower, but for offshore wind. But in this case, it's more for site location, and then obviously maintenance and operational efficiency. Right, so one of the main points that I learned in this whole journey is that obviously I'm coming from software engineering, right? So I moved to an energy industry, which is a complete different industry. But it turns out that the problems that you are facing now were the problems that I was facing when I was working in technology. And this is really interesting because right now, energy is going through a really disruptive digitalization process. So what happens is that when we were producing these data sets, we were giving them to electric utilities, and they were saying, wow, this is really cool. I like this. Now, how do I use it, right? There's no infrastructure to make these new data work. So we needed to sort of come in and help them through professional services to transform their infrastructure to be able to handle all these data sets, right? To optimize their generation, to create, to transform the way their generation team and their trading team were communicating together, how they were sharing data, how they were doing all the data pooling internally. These were new concepts when we show up around, where actually coming from technology for us were pretty common. So here we're talking about the fact that we're putting together two different industries, in this case through me, allowed us to bring ideas and connect different points of view from different industries. That in the end is really the added value that WeGo brought into this industry. And this is, I don't know if you saw this, but this is extremely interesting. So it turns out that disruption in the energy industry has been accelerated by far. So you were the laggards in 2019. You were the last ones in that curve. But it turns out that you went ahead of everybody. And this to me is extremely interesting because this means you are now willing to change and to transform your industry and to accept digitalization and this disruption that comes with it. And I think it's extremely important for everybody, for companies like Repsol and electric utilities, and for entrepreneurs and startups like us, because it's much easier to do things together when we are in such a big change and we're in the middle of the wave. So in a nutshell, basically what's happening is that WeGo needed to support all these in the electric utilities, right? So it was not enough only to come with the data. So we actually had to come with models that were able to transform this data into actual decision making, not only from trading perspective, but from generation perspective. And we have been able to transform and help change these electric utilities as well by bringing partners, right? So being the integrator from the data perspective in how things are being done in the generation and trading side of things of these electric utilities. Now, I wanted to share you as well what this means in terms of internationalization, right? So the electric industry, it's a relative, what would I say, a niche market when it comes to regional ecosystems. So when you're trying to internationalize a startup that is working in energy, it's relatively difficult because each country operates in a different way. So the grid operator of Spain and Switzerland are not the same. The regulations are completely different. In Spain, we share data that in Switzerland is not allowed. In Norway, they do trading with things that are not allowed in Spain. So a lot of things are very, very different. So when we're doing an internationalization exercise with a startup in energy, this requires a little bit of an extra mile, right? So in our case, we're operating in 6 countries, you know, from Canada to New Zealand, to pretty much all the time zones, which is sometimes a little bit challenging. But we realize that the key here is to surround yourself with all partners, all potential partners that are operating in those particular countries. So in this case, through shareholding. So the fact that you're opening up your equity is not only to achieve money, right? What you want is be part of an ecosystem. So that was critical when we got Sabadell in our shareholding, or Catapult from Norway in our shareholding, because that instantly offers you the opportunity to be in a new country and have, you know, catalyzers that are going to help you in that journey. The same happening in New Zealand through Ara Ake. We're working with the government of New Zealand. Actually, that's the agency for energy development of New Zealand, and in Canada as well, that we're working at the political level. And as well in Switzerland with partners that are already working in helping digitalizing these electric utilities through new models, through new AI data-driven processes that are helping them become sort of a full digital and automated companies. So this brings to sort of the last bit of the presentation, which means if we want these electric utilities to become fully automated, right, and fully digital, it's not only about the electric utilities themselves, it's about creating an ecosystem that nurtures this sort of digitalization. And these startups, we play a critical role. So for us, we go, since we are creating these data sets that are scalable, that are coming from satellite data, and that we can share it pretty much everywhere, we consider that it naturally becomes a bedrock of this digitalization, right? So it's the main puzzle that we're going to put, and on top of it, we're going to add layers of modeling optimization for energy generation and energy trading. And this, we strongly believe in this, and we're working hard with our clients to make sure that they take full advantage of this new technology. So opportunity knocks. As I said, we're in the middle of this great disruption of technology. We have lots of different technologies that are hitting very hard in the energy market. But this for me does not represent a threat. This really is an opportunity for hungry startups that want to capitalize on it, and corporates that are open to allow the transition and the new digitalization happen. So thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure to share this time with you, and I hope you have a great event. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your remarks. And thank you very much to all of you for attending this 11th edition of the Repsol Foundation Entrepreneurs Fund. It has been a pleasure to have you here in person and by streaming. We encourage all entrepreneurs to participate with your projects next year. We look forward to continuing to advance innovative ideas that we are confident will bring about a more sustainable future and help to meet the challenges of the energy transition. See you next year.
Begin by doing what is necessary, then do what is possible, and all of a sudden, you'll be doing the impossible. At Repsol, we know that our energy is necessary for change. We continue to face the challenges posed by the future, and at Repsol Foundation, we continue to make the impossible possible, giving our best to society with pioneering projects that are driving the energy transition and social development. Large-scale reforestation projects to drive the Spanish emissions compensation market. Eco-sustainable housing refurbishment in at-risk environments to improve energy efficiency. Sustainable last-mile logistics to reduce CO2 emissions within cities. We promote a circular economy through the recycling of electrical and electronic devices. Energy efficiency through innovative solutions based on LED technology. We've been driving the future of energy for more than a decade now with our Entrepreneur Fund, yielding results that vouch for the initiative's success. Targets met, where true and objective knowledge production continue to be key at all levels. With our open room digital community, which has become a recognized meeting and discussion hub. And the network of chairs at benchmark universities specialized in key aspects of the future of energy. Helping educate new generations on energy, climate change, air quality, sustainable mobility, the circular economy, and sustainable development goals. Promoting alliances and commitments to social entities as a way of supporting the creation of a more just and inclusive society. We continue counting on the energy of Repsol volunteers who put their talent to work on energy-related social projects. Once again this year, we at Repsol Foundation are doing what it takes to demonstrate our commitment to building what seemed impossible.